Hey guys, how's it going? Rex Overdrive here, doing kind of a first time ever on this YouTube channel. I've never done a live stream before. I wanted to do something like this just to have more interaction with you guys, so that way you can kind of chat in the live chat, give us your thoughts. But today I've joined me and my good buddy, going back to starting our YouTube channels together, Spikeghetti. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Rex?
Pretty good. Ready to talk some spoilers for The Last Jedi?
Yeah, for sure. It's been quite a divisive movie from what I've seen, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. So I guess everyone on my channel knows my thoughts about this thing. I loved the movie. I thought it was great. It's not a perfect movie by any means. There's definitely some flaws in there. Some kind of things that are a little bit wacky, a little bit weird, new to this whole Star Wars franchise, and we'll get into those things, but I guess just give us a rundown of your general thoughts of the film.
All right. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think I left the theater very happy with it, and there were a couple things that bothered me about it a little bit, but I was just shocked by the amount of fan reviews from Rotten Tomatoes and how they were just trashing the movie. And I went on IMDb, which was a mistake, to look at just reviews of what people were saying, and just all the 0s out of 10s and the 1s out of 10s, and I cried in the theater, and how dare they do that to Luke Skywalker, and all that stuff. And so I was taken aback by that, because I really enjoyed the movie and I really had a good time watching it.
For sure.
And, I was gonna go see it again today, but plans came up. But I'm gonna go see it again tomorrow. So I'm excited to see more and watch more of it. I felt, a lot of people with The Force Awakens, they're like, it's too much like A New Hope.
Right.
I felt like with this one, it had a lot of the elements of Empire Strikes Back without feeling like a beat for beat copy of it, like Force Awakens felt like sometimes.
I agree.
And so I just basically I really enjoyed it. Couple things that bothered me about it, but we'll get into that. And other than that, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I definitely love the film. I'm not ready to rank this thing amongst like the other Star Wars movies.
Right.
It's too soon. I've seen the movie 3 times, surprisingly, already.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I know.
I feel prepared now.
Yeah, so I'm ready for this thing. I'm ready to dig in deep. But
all right.
But I just kind of want to go over the premise of this movie. It's definitely a smaller scale Star Wars story, as far as like kind of I don't know. It's definitely,
you're not blowing up any planets. Or,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
For
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
So pretty much the movie starts out with the Resistance. They're fleeing their base with the planet on I believe it's Dakar. We saw in The Force Awakens the Hosnian system, where the Republic of that's the Hosnian system was the planet where the current Republic was being at, and the First Order destroyed it.
Right.
And so they didn't really have any place to go. The First Order was breathing down their necks, and right during the middle of their escape, the First Order pops up. And that moment where you see those two characters, which by the way, the blonde girl, that's actually Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Yep, I knew that.
Yeah, so those two characters, they see those Star Destroyers pop up in the sky during the middle of their evacuation, and they're just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then we get the epic space battle, which I loved.
Yeah.
You get Poe Dameron. Okay, so what did you think of that Poe Dameron, like, in General Hux dynamic right there? Where
see, that's the one time for me where the humor kind of fell, and it didn't. I had the same problem. This is a completely different movie, but the beginning of Thor Ragnarok kind of did the same thing.
Yeah,
where they thought they were being really funny with like this evil villain, and it was just it just fell flat for me. I think it worked for what it wanted to do, but I don't think it was as like a barrel full of laughs like they thought it was going to be when they shot the scene and edited it and all that. But I thought the action itself was great. I thought him pulling the e-brake or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
To shoot the last cannon and all that. That was pretty sweet. I really dug that scene, other than that playful banter kind of thing that happened there. And I'm usually a big fan of that kind of stuff. I'm not the guy that's like, oh, these movies are too funny or they're trying to be too funny. I enjoy good humor, but it just fell flat for me.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it's funny, but does it fit in like the context of the situation in Star Wars? That's kind of where I was coming from with that.
Well,
humor.
And it makes sense because he was trying to like stall him for time or whatever. But I felt like they could have done that a different way.
Yeah, and I guess they did kind of give a little bit of that personality of Poe in The Force Awakens when he gets kind of like captured by Kylo Ren in the First Order. Like, who talks first? I talk first. Like, he's kind of a playful guy,
right?
But I don't know. It's just the like reaction on Hux's face. It just, I don't know. It just felt like I was watching Spaceballs or something like that.
Yeah,
you know,
it was definitely Spaceball like.
Yeah,
which, for sure.
It's funny. I mean, it like, I think all of the humor in The Last Jedi, it's definitely grown on me. Especially like this movie felt very like front loaded with the comedy. Because I guess towards like the end of the movie, it kind of gets pretty heavy, and there's not really a whole lot of time to throw in like jokes and quips and things like that.
Yeah, the funniest, if we're jumping here, the funniest scene to me is when Luke went up to those mammals and milked their tots, so to speak.
Oh,
and got
yeah,
green milk, and he had it all over his face, and he looked furious. Yeah, and I don't know if that was meant to be funny or what it was, but I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, that was really good.
That made me laugh a little bit.
And the creature like turns around and like looks at Rey like yeah, and it just makes that creature like so disgusting.
Yeah, it was pretty gross, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the synopsis.
So, like, okay, so we have that bombing mission where the Resistance is, you have that First Order dreadnought that pops up right as they're trying to flee, and when that freaking dreadnought popped up on screen, I was just like, oh my god, that thing just looks like a total like war machine. It just looks so scary, and it had that who was that captain? He had that like raspy British voice. He just felt like a total like
I know what you're talking about. I can't place it, but yeah, it was definitely, they came in and it was a really badass looking ship. I thought the movie got really heavy right there too.
Yeah, especially
I didn't understand I was like, what is this movie? What, she's holding on to her pendant and I thought it was like a religious thing they were going for there, but then you find out later that's not at all what it was.
Right.
But I was just like, whoa, she's like suicide bombing him right now. This is crazy, like this is pretty heavy for a Star Wars or a Disney movie,
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. It just took me aback a little bit because they despite the action, they had tried to keep it fun up to that point, and then it just went. It was not fun there. That was pretty heavy. So
yeah. Well, and like, for it to be Rose's sister and just have that meaningful impact.
Right.
I think that character's name was Paige, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they did that little symbolism with that gold. Was it a moon or like a moon crescent?
Yeah, it looked like they were supposed to fit together in almost like a yin yang type of way.
Oh, okay.
That's what I got from it. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but almost like you see those like friendship bracelets that they're a heart and they crack in half, and then you can put them or not bracelets but necklaces, and they crack in half and you can put them together that little girls have and all that.
Right.
That's what it made me think of. Maybe I'm wrong.
But yeah, that was a super heavy moment in that scene. And I guess after that, they end up escaping, and Poe kind of gets reprimanded for his actions because Leia obviously wanted them to pull and retreat so they could escape. But Poe kind of he flipped off the comm while Leia was like telling him to flee or retreat. And then they attacked that dreadnought because he said it was a fleet killer, which it obviously was. Who knows if they would have even made it out of that if they didn't destroy that thing. So so he sort of gets like reprimanded and then demoted to a captain instead of a commander. And then I think after that we kind of just go to like Rey and
we jump in with Luke there and Rey. And...
So okay, so there were so many theories like who Rey was, all of that type of stuff. Now, what do you think when Rey handed Luke that lightsaber and he just chucked it off the cliff there.
You know, I wasn't really surprised by that. I know a lot of the problem that a lot of people have with this movie is that Ray or not Ray, Luke is he's supposed to be the hero of the galaxy and he's hiding and he's this whiny baby and da 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 da. Luke Skywalker has always been that guy. He's always been the guy to, he'd rather go play with his buddies than, uh, shit, what's the line about power converters or something? You know what I mean?
I want to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
Right, exactly. So he's always been that guy.
Yeah.
Just because he saved the galaxy doesn't not make him that guy.
Right.
And so, yeah, and this is stuff we'll get into a little later, but the fact that he felt like he failed the galaxy, yes, he went into hiding. Yes, that makes sense. Yes, he'd want nothing to do with the lightsaber. I just don't understand why people don't get about that other than, well, for the last 30 years, I've had Luke Skywalker built up in my mind as this, and he's not.
Right.
And go ahead.
Well, and it kind of plays into, when I went to Star Wars Celebration Orlando this past spring, Daisy Ridley spoke a little bit about this. She said, like, sometimes when you meet your childhood heroes, they don't necessarily turn out to who you imagine them to be.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect example. And it's kind of a similarity to the Karate Kid with Mr. Miyagi, is it Daniel?
Daniel's son.
Yeah, Daniel's son wants Mr. Miyagi to train him, and he's pretty resistant to that, right? Wasn't that how that was in that film?
God, I haven't seen that movie in so long. But
yeah,
I think
me either.
it's the same kind of thing. Like, he felt like he failed the student, so why would he train anybody in karate?
Right, and he asked Rey, "Why are you here?" And she said, "The Resistance sent me." And he's like, "No, why are you here?" And she's obviously says later on in the movie, she's just trying to find someone to show me my place in all of this.
Right.
So, she's trying to find things within herself. And, some of those, they get answered a little bit later on in the movie. Maybe she knew those things the entire time. She just never wanted to admit it. Who knows? But, we'll get into that a little bit later. But there's also that dynamic where we find out that Snoke is, I guess I don't even really know what to call it, where he's giving them like a force, like connection, really, where they can communicate with each other.
I'm curious about what you actually think about that. Do you think he had as much to do with that as you know what I mean, as he says he does? Or is there some connection between Rey and Kylo that we don't understand yet?
Well, he obviously said that in the throne room where he admitted that he bridged that connection between the two. But we also see that at the end of the movie, right? Where Rey's on the Falcon and they still have that connection. Now, is that because since they had that connection, they can still continue to have that? Or is there something else really going on? I think...
I'd like to think there's something else going on there. I think they gave us two big misdirections in this movie that are going to be cleared up in the next one, and that's one of them, that he connected them, so to speak. And the other one is Kylo Ren telling Rey, "Your parents were nothing. They're nobody. They don't mean anything." I'm still on the Obi-Wan Kenobi ancestor train, and I think that's going to be revealed in the final movie. But that's
we'll see. I mean, personally, I like the idea that she's just kind of like nobody, where she's she came from nothing to being this important figure in the galaxy. And
I like that idea too, but I think they're trying. Everybody was so obsessed with that in between these two movies. Who's Rey's parents? Who's Rey's parents? Who's Rey's parents? That was the number one thing anybody would ask anybody about Star Wars. And I think they're just trying to throw everybody off that scent. And they're going to bring it back. And maybe it won't be the next movie. Maybe they never will. Maybe I'm wrong. That's my personal opinion on it. I don't think they're ever going to talk about Snoke again because people are upset about that too. I think he was kind of a red herring, so to speak.
For sure.
We'll get to that later. I'm jumping ahead here on you.
Okay, so I guess kind of a little bit later on in the film, we see Princess Leia get sucked into the vacuum of space.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts on
Whew.
flying, not necessarily
Um,
flying Leia, but she uses the Force to draw herself back into the ship.
yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was cool. I know some people had a problem with it. I think it's a cool thing to. They really wanted to make sure people understood how important Leia is and powerful Leia is, and in uh, by association, obviously Carrie Fisher too. Uh, passing away this past year. They really wanted to make that character feel special, and I think they achieved that. And that was the big part of it was
Yeah.
her flying into space. My question is, didn't that was the bridge, right?
Yeah, because Admiral Raddus was on that, and it said all leadership that was on the bridge.
But then weren't they on the same exact bridge later?
Um, I mean, I honestly don't really remember.
Yeah, to me,
That's a
I
good
mean,
point, though.
it's probably just, oh, there's two bridges on this ship, or they're
Maybe.
on a. But to me, it was like that looks like the same exact bridge that she got sucked out the window on. But I could be wrong on that.
Hey, maybe they can just do repair work extremely fast.
It's
Because
possible.
yeah, it was on
Robots and
that.
droids and stuff.
It was on that Mon Calamari ship, the
Yep.
the Raddus.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that is a good point. I never realized that. Yeah, is that the same bridge or a different bridge? Is there like well, I don't. Yeah, I don't remember. I'll just have to watch the movie again
You'll
to
have to
really
watch
get
it a
into
fourth
that.
time.
But
When I go see it tomorrow, I'll let you know what I think.
okay, yeah, because that's just something I never really noticed. And now that you point that out, I'll have to kind of pay attention towards that. But after that, Leia gets put into recovery. And then we see Vice Admiral Holdo, which you didn't like Laura Dern as that character.
It's not necessarily her, but my biggest gripe with the movie, besides Kylo Ren's high waisted pants, is that if they just tell Poe what the plan is, if they just tell him, hey, this is what we're doing, this is why we're gassing these shuttles, this is what we're doing, the whole second act of the movie doesn't exist.
That's true, but hear me out real quick.
Okay. All right.
So Laura Dern's character, Amelin Holdo, I think's her name. She was on a different craft when all that happened.
Right.
So she never met Poe before. So all she really knows is that he just kind of like took over that mission and kind of just he just kind of made like an executive call, like right on the fly.
Right.
And last thing she really knows about Leia is that she demoted his ass.
Right. No,
So,
and I completely understand the character decision. I don't have a problem with that. It's just the one thing where I was like, ugh. Once that whole story arc was over in the second act, and then you find out what her plan is.
Yeah.
And then you see like all the this block falls here and this marble rolls on here and all the stuff that happens as a cause of that. You go, man, if she just would have told him, that would have saved so much time and energy for everybody. But that's
that's true. Yeah, it's
not
just
a huge deal.
Right. Okay, so let me see. I have my notes here. Okay, so my biggest gripe with the entire movie is just the whole side quest with Finn and Rose when they go to Canto Bight to get the master code breaker to hack that first order code so they can shut down that the tracking system that they were using to track the resistance through hyperspace.
Right.
Now, to me, I don't know. I like the idea of like bringing in this like kind of like prequel world. It was very reminiscent of something from the prequels, as like visually.
I agree. I actually, just to stop you real quick, I almost, when they said what's that noise and they go to look outside, I thought there were going to be pod racers flying by.
Oh yeah, that would have been a cool callback.
And then it was the big horse type alien. But anyway, I just heard, I saw that, and I saw the track, and I went, no way, they're not doing pod racers. And then it wasn't. But
that would have been sweet. I mean, they could have done pod racing, but there's also kind of a underlying message throughout this whole sequence. But I don't know, for me it was just like, it felt very reminiscent of like Harry Potter at times. Like, I don't know, it just, and even even just like, okay, you pull up Maz Kanata in a holovid to find somebody to hack first order code. I thought the Maz Kanata holovid looked pretty shitty. And like,
Yeah,
does Poe even know Maz Kanata?
yeah. Actually,
I know Finn does.
well, I think the idea is that he's a well-connected dude, similar to Han Solo. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, he
Yeah.
would know. Yeah, I think that's they're just trying to, be like, oh, just run with this. He would know Maz Kanata.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Maz Kanata. You know what I mean? One of those
Right.
kind of things.
And I think there was a deleted scene, or I don't think it made the Blu-ray or anything like that, but in one of those first trailers for The Force Awakens, it showed somebody handing Leia the lightsaber. And I believe
Mhm.
that was Maz Kanata. She was supposed to go back after her like castle got
Oh
blown
yeah,
up.
I remember reading that. She was supposed to be with them at the end.
She
Yeah.
was supposed to go back to that resistance base. So obviously, yeah, they probably would have met there, but it was
Right.
never implied in any of these movies. So it's kind of just kind of a little bit of a confusing plot point, I guess, why they would know each other, but it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it would have been cool if that was Lando who they contacted,
Yeah. Well,
but
I almost thought the Master Codebreaker was going to be Lando too.
that would have been cool. That would have.
But
Yeah.
that's too much. That's too much coincidence in the galaxy, that giant galaxy, for him to be this Master Codebreaker.
Yeah. That would have been the perfect place for him to go to, though. That
Yeah.
Canto Bight, like Casino City.
I Well, I didn't think. I mean, I thought about it, and I was like, nah, that's not going to be him. But I expected him to be at like a craps table or something.
Oh
shooting
yeah,
things.
yeah,
That would be cool.
yeah.
What's the deal with Benicio del Toro, man?
I know, it was so bizarre. Like,
That guy's weird. Like, and that's all him. Like,
oh yeah,
the way he spoke in Guardians, the way every movie he's in, he's got to throw some kind of weird ass tick in his character or whatever. And I don't know it. I was talking to my dad about it because I went and saw him, and he loved that character. But I
oh
was just
really?
like, the problem with me is like, it wasn't. That's Benicio del Toro. That's not a character in this movie.
Yeah,
To me, like, he's a good character actor, but when he does stuff like that, it almost takes you out of that character. Like, what's the deal with this guy? Why is he stuttering like that?
right.
Oh, that's that again, a small nitpick for me, but
Yeah, and there's also the thing where, like, how did he ever find out that those transport ships were being cloaked and, like, those transport ships were flying off to that old resistant or old rebel
well,
base?
didn't um didn't Poe tell Finn that?
I believe so, but I don't know if, I mean, maybe DJ just overheard it while he was like,
Yeah, I think they showed like he was like working on something on the ship, and he like they
okay,
shot the camera at him, and he made kind of like a face like he was definitely listening, and they shot back. I could be wrong about that.
did
But
he
I
like
seem
raise
to
an
remember
eyebrow
that.
like,
Yeah, like huh, like like oh, I heard that, so now and that because I remember there being something that tipped a suspicion with me that he's gonna turn on him, and
okay.
I want to say that happened, but I don't remember exactly. So
Yeah, he's just kind of a guy that kind of, I guess, plays both sides.
yeah,
Whoever has the money,
yeah,
obviously.
and it's almost like the their part of the story to me is the most Empire Strikes Back part of it, because at the end they lost. Finn and Rose, they lost, and he's the Boba Fett guy or the Lando guy going, hey, sorry, I had to turn on you, right?
Yep.
So that's the one part that really mirrored, the previous or the first trilogy being the second movie to me. That's
Right.
like, oh, they lost. You know what I mean? And that's what was cool about Empire Strikes Back, is that they didn't really win. It was going on to the next movie, and I think a similar thing happened in this movie. So,
Right. And we also get to see Rey trying to bring Kylo back to the light side. That was interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew that she was gonna fail. There was a slight sliver of me that was like thinking, are these two actually gonna like start a relationship? Is this whole like
Yeah,
Reylo thing gonna be a thing?
they had romantic chemistry for sure. That was
Yeah.
that was a part of it when they were together in their visions or whatever you want to call it. There was definitely a romantic chemistry there, and um, I think that's part of the reason that Kylo did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, he had some delusions there about what was going to happen after that. So
Right. Yeah, so they both were thinking that they could bring them on their side. Rey was
Right.
thinking she could bring Kylo back to the light, and Kylo obviously thought Rey would end up teaming up with him so they could rule the galaxy and obviously overthrow Snoke and all that stuff.
But how about that fight scene?
Oh my god, that
That was
fight
awesome.
scene was so good. I loved that scene. You know, it was completely unexpected for me, like actually killing off Snoke.
Yeah.
You know, I did not expect that at all. But as soon as he started like wiggling his fingers, like turning that lightsaber
Hmm.
like 90 degrees or whatever to slice Snoke in half, I was just like, oh my god, he actually did that.
Right.
I thought Snoke would be a player up until this next movie.
Well, I think that's what makes it so effective is that,
Oh yeah,
and why people are a little sour about it, or some people, I guess, because it's not what you expected to happen. You expected Snoke to be, there for the next movie and pulling the strings, and he was supremely powerful, and he just is his overconfidence is what got him, and then that really turns the expectation for the next movie on its head because you don't really know what's going to happen now. If he
right.
would have stayed alive, you're like, well, it's going to be Return of the Jedi-ish, where there's going to be some big thing where he's fighting against Snoke and Rey wants him to join her side. It would have been almost the same thing. So I'm glad they did that. I know a lot of people aren't happy about it, but I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah, I agree. And like I just like that this movie just shits on all of those like fan theories so hard as far
Mm-hmm.
as like Rey's parentage, uh, all the Snoke bullshit. I mean, I think we'll eventually learn about Snoke in like a book, and we might learn more about him in the next movie. Who knows?
I just want to know where he got that gold robe.
I know he's like
That thing was
Goldmember,
ballin'.
man.
Yeah, that was pretty loud. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and Andy Serkis just plays that character so well. That guy's
Yeah,
so good.
he is.
And
He is.
they made that character super powerful too. He
Yeah,
even did the Force lightning, and he's bridging these two characters like minds together through the
right.
Force. And he just like moves Rey so easily, just like
Mhm. And she's fighting it. It's not
yeah,
like she's just standing there. She's fighting it, and he's just moving her no matter what. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah, that whole scene was pretty cool. But it mirrored a lot of things from actually Return of the Jedi.
oh yeah,
He makes her look out the window at her forces
oh
being
yeah,
destroyed.
yeah. That was very reminiscent of that, wasn't it?
Yep, she had the handcuffs on, and he took them off. Just a lot of different things like that that are like this is exactly how Return of the Jedi played out. But then at the end, it's not how it played out.
Right.
So
Yeah, they take some elements from that and just kind of like create something totally new almost.
right, right.
Um.
Wait, we skipped a part that I want to kind of go
Oh
back
yeah,
to.
yeah. Go for it.
When she goes down in the hole,
I know that
what was that?
it's bizarre, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like one of the like what the hell moments in the movie
It's like
where
Thor taking his bath in
yeah,
shit. Civil War? No, that wasn't Civil War. That was Avengers
Ultron,
2. Ultron. Yeah.
yeah,
Like Thor going to take his bath, and you go, there was more to this, and I don't know what.
yeah, yeah.
It
Well,
was a very visually striking scene. It looked cool. I just don't know what it did.
yeah. Like remember she's snapping her fingers.
Right. And it's just like I don't know. It was.
Continuous.
I thought I was tripping for a minute when I was in there. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like the cave on Dagobah. It's similar to that.
Yeah, I
it's kind of one of
suppose.
those things.
But that was more straightforward about what it was about. It was definitely a you know, an analogy for what Luke had to do.
Yeah.
Like he kills Darth Vader and it's him.
Hmm.
He has to fight his dark side. This, I'm not so sure what they were getting.
No, they don't give you a
Yeah.
clear answer of
Right.
what it was really trying to be because she's talking about show me my parents, and it shows a blurry figure walking through like on the other side of that like glass or whatever that was, and it just ends
Yeah.
up being her. Like I
Yeah.
don't necessarily understand what that means. Like maybe she already knows the answer.
Yeah, that could be what they're saying with that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
it's
thought
kind of
that
weird.
that scene was weird. It didn't bother like retract from the movie at all. I just was like, where were they getting to with that? And I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll find out in the next movie, or J.J. Abrams will forget about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually I saw this tweet that said
Did,
it was the title crawl for the next movie, and it said
oh, I saw that too.
it's all a dream. The Knights of Ren are in charge of the galaxy. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And I made me laugh pretty hard.
I actually saw a petition to like
Shut up.
remove episode 8 from Star Wars canon.
Ugh. Ugh, man,
I'm serious. All these people and their petitions, man.
nerds,
Like,
bunch of nerds.
yep,
The movie's good. Leave it alone. If you don't
I
like it,
know.
that's okay. I'm not trying to shit anybody's opinion, but you can't petition for a movie not to exist. That's just dumb.
Yeah,
Oh, whatever.
I know. It's just if you don't like a movie, so what?
Don't see it ever again. Boom. Problem solved.
Right. It's not like they're gonna release a Zack Snyder cut or anything.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
Um,
I hope
but
not.
yeah, let's just move on for that. But what did you think of when Hux walked back into the throne room and saw Snoke cut in half, and then Kylo was like faking being like passed out?
Yeah.
That was
That
a
was
little bit.
pretty. It was a good move by Kylo. It's good.
Yeah.
You know, because if Hux knew he killed him, no way Hux would listen to him. You know, he'd
Right.
probably have to kill Hux too then. But whatever. It
Yeah.
was a good way for to keep Hux in the story without, because the part of the thing that's going to be cool, I think, in the next movie about that is those two pushing and pulling against each other on and what to do next.
Yeah. Well, and I liked that Hux like reached for his blaster briefly, and then
Right.
like Kylo started to get back up, and he like, oh shit, put it away.
Because they're almost like brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have a
That
very like brotherly relationship as far as like they're trying to like one up each other, like
and
who's
impress Daddy. Yeah.
yeah, for
Sure.
sure. And now Hux is pretty much like Kylo's bitch
Yep.
in a way, like we see
Just
on
because he's not nearly as powerful as he is. Yeah.
yeah, and he doesn't have like Snoke to like go crying to Daddy about Kylo Ren.
Right. Yeah.
They,
Sure.
they can't really play that anymore. So I guess yeah, Kylo is the supreme leader. So we talked about Canto Bite and how it's like very reminiscent of like something from Harry Potter, and like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter because they fail anyways, which is fine, I guess. Right. But then we see Captain Phasma confront Finn. Now, I know you've never been too hot on Captain Phasma. You're kind of like in The Force Awakens, like, what's all the hype with this character? She was a complete throwaway character in The Force Awakens, and it's kind of the same again.
Mm-hmm. To me, it's like, people love Boba Fett. But the guy's a joke, man. He can't get anything right. And Phasma is the same as Boba Fett.
Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back is... He kind of has a cool mystique, and he's kind of a badass.
Right. They portray him that way, and they portray Phasma the same way, but at the end of the day, when they got to get something done, they can't.
Yeah, Boba Fett got knocked into the Sarlacc pit.
Right.
Wow!
And he's not even the one that captured Han Solo. It was Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He didn't even do his job. So,
right.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. But Phasma, to me, is just the same. Oh, it looks cool, and that's it. There's no substance there.
Well, prior to The Force Awakens, I put this on my Christmas list.
Put what on your Christmas list?
Right here.
Dude, I can't see your feed.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a...
the YouTube feed is
oh,
like
yeah,
behind.
There's a delay. Okay, so I have a Star Wars Elite Series Captain Phasma figure here.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
It's unopened. The tape...
Well, of course, you don't open anything.
The seal is still on here. I think I might open this thing now, because I think there's zero value to this action figure.
Oh, you're going to open it because of that?
Possibly. Well, it's just like, I had huge hopes for that character, and they pretty much, 2 times in a row, they kind of just threw her down the shitter. Now, I liked the fight between Finn and Phasma. I just didn't like Captain Phasma had hardly any screen time.
Take the fight in Force Awakens between they've codenamed him Traitor, but that
Yeah,
stormtrooper and Phasma, and it's literally the same. It doesn't matter.
right. I agree.
You know, the Phasma's just that, but in a cool coat of paint.
Yep. Bulletproof
Yeah,
armor, which
yeah.
if you go
Why
back
wouldn't
to
you
the
just put that on everybody?
well, it might be pricey, you know.
Yeah,
They don't want to give general like regular stormtroopers that stuff because it's a lot of resources. But if you go back to the Force Awakens, why didn't she try to put up a fight when Han and Finn and Chewie put a blaster to her face? It made her
Yep, plot holes. You know
yeah.
what? We need to petition to delete both of these movies
Yeah, and
from Star Wars.
that's just me nitpicking. Like I
Yeah,
honestly don't care really about that at all. It's completely fine to me, but yeah,
it's
I just
disappointing for a character that you wanted to see be more successful.
for sure. And especially it's the actress Gwendolyn Christie. She's in Game of Thrones. She's a badass
Right,
in that show. She's a really good actress, and I just don't think she really got enough time to really shine or make the character as interesting as it could have been. So
right.
it's just disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. It didn't detract too much from the film. I still really enjoyed it. So it's just kind of a minor gripe, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Yoda.
Oh my god, thank you for reminding me. I didn't have that on
Yeah,
my notes.
I don't know how.
You're my
Puppet
savior.
Yoda, man, he's
I
back,
know. Now,
and it wasn't super serious. Original or not original. First trilogy Yoda. It was Empire Strikes Back Yoda. It was the
yeah,
goofy ass. I'm gonna steal your food and chuck it in the swamp Yoda. You
yeah.
know.
When he, I think it was when he, he, I don't know, he got that lightning strike to strike the force tree,
Hmm.
and then was that when like Luke? Well, it might have been when like Luke fell backwards.
Hmm.
Is that when Yoda started like laughing and his like feet
Yeah.
were like,
Started kicking, and he was,
oh
like
yeah,
that shit.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
so good. No,
Yeah.
the
I
first,
remember when we watched all six movies before The Force Awakens came out. And I remember the
yeah,
contrast in Yoda from the first three movies to the second three was just ridiculous because in the first three movies he's just like he's just all serious about everything, and then Empire Strikes Back he's like fucking eating his food without asking and shit like that. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So I was just like, what? This contrast is so weird. So I'm glad they brought it back to the Yoda that Luke knows,
right,
and that's the goofy, wise but goofy, crazy Yoda. So
yeah. Yeah, that's one of the best moments from the entire film, and it's such a priceless moment. Like
yeah,
I thought it could be a possibility that we might see Yoda or Ewan McGregor pop up as Obi-Wan in the movie, but it's like what are the chances of that actually happening? And I'm so
right.
glad that they put Yoda in the film, and it makes sense.
Hmm.
Luke would go to or would seek out a Force Ghost Yoda for advice while he was on this island or throughout the years. It's still possible we might see a Force Ghost Obi-Wan, but I think we're obviously
Yeah.
going to see a different Force Ghost in the next one.
Yep. Probably.
Um,
Should we just get right to that?
yeah, go for it. Okay, so the planet crate, we get that. It wasn't even really like that big of an action sequence. It was just those skim speeders just like driving towards these like ATM6 walkers.
Yeah.
Um and they didn't really do anything. They just kind of shot at, and they kind of just like drove towards and then like broke
Well, they're
off to the
pieces of
sides.
junk.
Yeah. And then
They're pieces of junk.
I thought a moment where Finn could have sacrificed himself and had such a good story arc where he was a fleeing coward at the start of the movie or kind of the middle of the movie. He wanted to just like abandon the resistance and just kind of like do his own thing because he was a coward. He was a deserter.
Well, he was a coward, but he wanted, he obviously
Well, he wanted
feels he
Rey.
has a pretty big connection with Rey, and
Yeah.
he wants to see Rey, which I think is really going to play into the next movie. I think there's going to be a bit of a love square, if you will, with Rose, Finn,
Ugh.
Rey, and then Kylo Ren, because that he
Is this
definitely
like Twilight?
it might be, man. I don't know. We'll see how Abrams plays it, but I think they were hinting at that there was
Yeah.
because they showed, Finn kind of tending to Rose while she was passed out, and Rey was just kind of staring over there like, you know what I mean? She didn't make a face necessarily, but it was like she was definitely longing on that, and then someone interrupted her gaze. I think there's definitely something there with that. But anyway, I thought this planet was really visually striking. I thought it was a really cool, regardless of how much action actually happened there.
Yeah.
Just how tore up and blood red the battlefield was. When Luke finally shows up, it was just such a cool look for the scene, and it was almost like they wanted it to look like it was bloodied, but that's nothing they would ever do in a Disney movie or
Right.
a Star Wars movie, for that matter, right?
Yep.
That's the reason that lightsabers cauterize wounds, because they don't ever want to show blood.
Mhm.
So, but they had this scene where it looked like it was just blood, but it was really just this salt, and they made a point of telling you, oh, this is salt. But I just thought it was a really cool looking scene, and I'm glad they did that. And then, Luke comes into play there, and you knew he was going to come into play. They weren't just going to leave him have that revelation with Yoda and then leave him on that island, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, so pretty much, the First Order, they used their, what did they say? It was miniaturized Death Star tech to blast through that base door. And so the rebels have their backs pinned up against a cave wall, literally. And then, the perfect timing, Luke Skywalker shows up. And he's not showed up in person. He's projecting himself through the Force.
Did you see that coming?
No. Now, when they light him up, when they just light him up with the blasters, I kind of knew. I felt like something was up, and he's still there standing. I agree. Yeah,
that's nothing that's ever happened in any Star Wars. And I guess that's not a good example, because Leia flying through the sky, is a different thing. But to me, I was like, there's something wrong about this. He's not there, or he's, or only Kylo Ren can see him, or something. There's something weird there. But I thought that scene was pretty cool. I thought the lightsaber fight they had was cool. A lot of CG in that lightsaber scene. But I still thought, we didn't really we got that cool scene with Rey and Kylo fighting the guard, but we really didn't get a lightsaber on lightsaber scene.
Yeah, we didn't have saber to saber.
Right. And that was the only thing that really qualified as that, and I thought that was really cool. I also, to jump back a little bit, I thought it was really cool that they gave Leia and Luke a moment.
Yeah, that was very nice.
Because that's not going to happen. And they didn't give Han and Leia a moment. You know what I mean?
No.
So I feel like you got to give Luke and Leia a moment there. And I thought that was really, really well done.
Yeah. One thing about that whole Luke and Kylo scene is that after rewatching it a couple times, and I obviously read something after I watched the movie the first time about this, is that if you pay attention to Luke Skywalker throughout that entire scene when he's like confronting Kylo, every time Kylo Ren steps, he makes a skid mark with that red mineral. If you watch Luke, never once when he steps does he make a red mark on that soil or that mineral stuff. So that's a very good attention to detail that they had making the movie.
Yeah, I'll have to watch for that when I see it tomorrow.
Yeah, so they specifically show Kylo sliding his foot with a red trail, skid mark, and then every time Luke makes a step, it's never showing a red skid mark. So
wow,
that's another detail that you can pay attention,
and not something that you would really pay attention to, until you realize what's going on. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
One scene that I think gets a little overrun here is Poe getting his redemption. Of what, I'm gonna make the right call here, and we're gonna evacuate. When I think Poe at the beginning of the movie would have, let's go help Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, that was a very good arc. I really liked that, where Finn's trying to get Poe to agree to get out there. We need to attack. We need to help Luke Skywalker. Right. But then he realizes from all this stuff that's happened earlier on in this movie that they need to, use this as a chance to escape.
Right.
Luke's out there stalling so we can be the spark that will light the fire that burns the First Order down.
Yep.
And I loved
Yep.
that moment,
Yep. It's he learned what Leia was trying to teach him, and that's
Yeah.
Say what you want about the second part of the movie, which I had, and that was a frustration that they didn't just tell him the plan. But when you get to that part, you go, oh, this is what this was all about. They're trying to teach Poe, and they want Poe to learn that, and it works for his character, and I think it's awesome.
Right. Yeah, like Poe, I really liked Poe in this movie. I thought he was fantastic, and I think they're really kind of like forming him to become like a top player in the Resistance or the Rebellion now. So I think he's going to be kind of a top dog after Leia.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It really depends how they handle Leia. I thought it was interesting that they let her survive the movie. Because I'm not sure what they're going to do with that.
Yeah.
But and she might just fade away like a Force ghost, like Luke did. That's very possible. But I think now that she's going to be out of the picture, I think Poe's definitely the guy who's going to lead them. And I think that's good that they built that learning tool and that leadership for him in that, so you can go through the next movie and everybody can go, this guy knows what he's doing. This is awesome. So
yep, yeah, he definitely had a big learning lesson in this film. As far as how they like handle Leia in the next one, I mean, I read a statement from Rian Johnson a couple of days ago, I think this past weekend, about Leia's sort of like almost death in the film. And I think they didn't want to change that. They wanted the audience to see like her full performance as they like intended it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just kind of like retooling it to make her actually dead. I mean, it makes it harder for the next film, but I think it makes us appreciate her moment in this film a little bit more, knowing that this is what we were actually supposed to get from her, instead of kind of like retooling it to kind of just make it convenient for the next movie.
Right, for sure. And I think anytime a studio makes a decision or a director makes a decision like that based on outside things, it hurts the movie. And it's the same idea with Justice League and Superman's mustache.
Oh yeah,
that they reshot all those scenes, and he now he looks silly. And so that really that's a different movie, but
yeah, that really hurt. But
I know you've been really down about the mustache and the weird looking lip. So
yeah, I wish I never would have knew about that going into that movie. But it's kind of it's a whole nother discussion, a long discussion.
Sure. So anyway, we're to Luke. Ending the way he started, looking at that double sunset. I thought it was very very poetic, very very cool way to end his story.
Absolutely, yeah.
He was the legend that the universe needed him to be, even though he, at times struggled with that.
Yep.
And I just think that's a really cool way to end it for him.
Yeah. And when Kylo, obviously, he tried cutting Luke in half, and then he turned around and Luke was just standing there. And then, what did he said something to Kylo, maybe not, and then I guess Kylo stuck his lightsaber in Luke's like chest or like stomach, and we obviously saw that it's like almost like a ghost, or I don't know, it just kind of goes through him and kind of has like a glow. And then what he said, I'll see you around, kid. And then he kind of just
Well, he before he went at him, he said almost a very similar line to what Obi-Wan said to Darth Vader.
Yes.
Yeah. And he said, if you strike me down, I'll be more powerful.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact line because it's slightly different from what Obi-Wan originally said.
He lets Kylo know that I'll always be with you, just like your father.
Yep. Yeah, he says that too. Yep. Which is a pretty powerful line because, you can tell Kylo Ren, thinks about that on a minute-to-minute basis that he murdered his father.
Right.
And especially, we didn't talk about this, but when they're attacking the Republic's main ship,
yes,
he knows Leia's in there. and he takes his hands off the controls
Yep. Well,
because he doesn't want to be the one to do it.
he flies right by that bridge where Leia's at, and then she like
Yep.
senses it,
Yep.
and then he makes like another round, and then he's like going towards that part of the ship where she's at, and he takes his finger off the trigger. Then those other TIE fighters zoom past him and like blow that deck up, and
Yep.
yeah. The thing is that he, he was pulled towards the light during that moment, but it still happened no matter what. So
Right. Right.
you know,
And we didn't actually talk about what caused Kylo to be the way he is either. And that's the whole Luke trying to
the
finish
temple.
that darkness off in his moment of weakness.
Yes.
And I thought it was really interesting the way they made Luke look in that scene.
Yeah, they made him look
With the darkened eyes and almost like he was, you know, like the thing I compare it to closest is in Lord of the Rings when Frodo has the ring and Bilbo make this face turns and it's like that. That's what it made me think of, and I was just like, oh wow, because that's how Kylo would see it in his nightmares, you know, of Luke standing over him with this lightsaber ready to murder him, and that's how he feels about it. Where when Luke talked about it, he still looked somewhat sinister, but not nearly as sinister as he did when Kylo described it. And I thought that was very cool and interesting.
Well, and I liked how they played that in like the different perspectives, where like the way like Kylo, I guess, viewed that moment to where what actually happened with Luke, where he saw that darkness in Kylo and he made the choice to he was going to murder Kylo because he saw all the darkness and that there was no redeeming Kylo. And then I don't know, for whatever reason, he had a moment in him where he couldn't do it. And then Kylo wakes up and, so in a way, like Luke is partially responsible for like the creation of Kylo, even though that darkness was already in him. But I think I don't know. I think it helped it like bring it out of him in a way.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
We got a Zoras Domain. What's your question? And yes, this is a completely spoiler-filled review of The Last Jedi. We didn't talk about the Porgs.
Oh, do we have to talk about the Porgs?
Oh, you didn't like the Porgs?
No, I liked the Porgs.
I thought they were going to be. I thought they had the potential to be kind of like, not necessarily Jar Jar Binks level bad, but I thought they could get pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I just thought they don't know what to do with Chewbacca anymore.
And no, they did not give Chewbacca enough to do.
And it's because Han's gone, and it makes sense. But yeah, they don't know what to do with Chewbacca, and that makes me sad. Other than play with the Porgs,
yeah.
And I'd much rather have Porgs than C-3PO. As you know, because C-3PO drives me nuts. I hate. Someone tells him to shut up in the movie, and I was just like, praise the Lord, yes, tell him to shut up.
Yeah, but not enough R2 either. But I did really like that moment between Luke and R2 when like when R2 starts like waking up and then Luke realizes that it's R2 like back in the corner, like in the dark. And then he's like, R2! Like, it was just a perfect moment. And then obviously R2 plays that like old recording of Leia like asking Obi-Wan Kenobi for help. And that was just that to me, that's one of the greatest moments in Star Wars. Like, it's just such a callback to the older films and just such a meaningful moment. It just brings it back to the original Star Wars movie. I loved that.
For sure, yeah. All right. Is there anything else we got to cover? Did we cover everything?
Okay, so pretty much the end of the movie. It's pretty much what is it? The Rebels, I guess they're called Rebels now. They called them Rebels several times in the movie. They pretty much all board the Millennium Falcon, all like 30 of them.
Yep.
And then the First Order, they get to that base on Crate, and it's empty, and Kylo finds those beads or jewels that Luke left Leia, and they just kind of like
The
disappear.
dice, the
Yeah,
chance
the dice.
cubes.
Yeah. Yep.
Chance cubes. Yeah, yeah, and he, is angry. The Ray picking up the rock scene is cool
Yeah.
because it's the scene that's like, oh, she knows what she's the big spark of hope that they have now that Luke's gone. She's the person that can help lead this, and everybody's amazed by this big thing she does. When really she's just lifting rocks, but um,
Yeah.
that's a cool scene for her to go, hey, this is, you know, I'm powerful now. Look at me,
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of funny because when Ray and Luke are on the island, don't they make a joke about lifting rocks?
Yep, yep.
And
They
now at the
talk.
end of the movie, she has to lift rocks.
Well, and she even says it. She goes, "Just lifting rocks." Like she
Yeah.
makes a callback reference to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty clever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm having trouble remembering what they end on. Oh, now I remember the kid.
Yes, but
The kid from the stables.
yeah, one thing though, Ray took those ancient Jedi texts.
She did?
Yes, when Finn goes on the Falcon, he like puts his jacket away or grabs something out of like a cabinet or like a drawer, and those books are sitting right there. So Ray has all of
Really?
those ancient Jedi texts.
So Luke thought he burnt it all down, and
Yeah. Well,
I didn't catch that.
I think Yoda knew that Ray had taken those Jedi texts, so he was just like, "Yeah, I'll just burn it."
Yeah.
So
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't recognize that. Funny. Speaking of things that people didn't recognize, I saw it with my brother as well, and he says to me yesterday, he goes, "So I guess at the end of the movie, when that little kid walks out, he grabs the broom with the Force." And I said, "You didn't notice that? That was
yeah,
like the thing I noticed is that." And it plays into the thing about Ray being a nobody, right? Having her parents be nobody. Is that it's the downtrodden that get these powers and get
yeah.
this heavy interaction with the Force. I didn't want to say metachlorians, but you know what I mean. And it's
Well, and they try and make it kind of obvious that the Force chooses kind of who is allowed to use the Force. You know, the Force flows through everything, but it almost chooses who gets to use it in a way. So
Yeah.
you see those kids they're passionate about these animals, and there's like animal cruelty going on in that casino city.
Yep.
And it's those good kids that or that one boy, I guess, who's the only one we really see have that Force power, that they're capable of using it. So, and I don't think that kid is necessarily going to be a character in the next movie.
No.
I think it's just kind of foreshadowing what's to come. He obviously had that ring that Rose gave him with
Right.
the rebel insignia, and
I think it's just explaining that the legend of Luke Skywalker has spread, and it's that spark that's going to ignite the galaxy, like you said, because they called for help
yep.
at the different corners of the galaxy, and no one helped them. But now, if you light that fire under everybody with that legend, and people help,
Yep.
and that I think that's where that was going. But yeah, I don't think that kid's gonna like pop up and he's gonna like show the ring and go, "Remember me? I'm the kid with the ring." I don't think that's gonna happen. But it's almost like a piece to go, "Hey, this is what you can expect from the next movie."
Right.
Yeah, I really liked the movie. I thought it ended really well. And overall, I just think it was a fun experience. I'm excited to see it again. And I understand if people didn't like certain aspects about it, but just try to remember it. Just because it's Star Wars, it's just a movie. It's not it's not something that's going to ruin your life, or you don't have to cry because they did something to Luke Skywalker that you know. Anyway, I'm getting into the weeds here, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Well, and even if just because somebody else has a different opinion, that doesn't make them or you wrong. Like, you can all have different opinions. You know, that's like,
for sure.
You don't have to like call somebody names because they liked the movie or didn't like the movie. Like,
Yeah.
But I loved the movie. Yeah, like you said, there's obviously things that weren't perfect about the film, but I really liked the job that Rian Johnson did on this. I'm excited for his upcoming trilogy. I don't know how soon we're gonna get that. I'd imagine just a couple more years.
It will. My guess is they're going to finish this trilogy, and then that will be the next. That will take
Yeah.
the spots after, because right now they're doing the side movies
Yep.
every other year, and they're doing the mainline movies every other year. So that's my guess, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
It's probably 3 or 4 years away, maybe. Well,
Yeah.
we got episode 9 in 2 years, so
And
we'll
we got
see.
what, Han Solo this year?
Yeah, we still haven't gotten a trailer for that, so
Man, I don't know about that one,
dude,
but I told you that.
Ron Howard's gonna bring it back, man. Those Lego directors were they're trying to make Han into Ace Ventura.
Well, but man, that first, I don't know. I just don't know. When you hear things like you find out how Han Solo got his name, what?
Yeah,
His name's Han Solo. What do you
I don't
mean?
think, and that was Bob Iger that said that, the Disney
Yeah.
CEO, who's a boss, by the way. I think he was more saying, and who knows, it could be his actual name, but I think of kind of like his persona, you know, like his mystique, Han Solo.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think his name's gonna be like Jimmy Sullivan, and then
Oh
they're
my
gonna go, "Oh, the
God.
name's Han Solo."
Isn't that the Avenged Sevenfold drummer?
I don't know, dude.
Oh, I could be wrong, but yeah, let's bring it back to The Last Jedi. Okay, so we both loved the movie. It's not a perfect
Yep.
movie, but I had a fantastic time watching this. I'm gonna probably see it. I'd say maybe one or
And-
two more times, but
For the record, I liked it more than Force Awakens.
yeah, I honestly think it's gonna have more rewatchability than The
Right.
Force Awakens.
There were a couple in Force Awakens I liked it a lot, but there were a couple moments of Force Awakens where I was just like, really? And this movie I really didn't have too much of that, and I from the only thing I was sitting there going, man, this movie's so long, and then I looked and it is the longest Star Wars movie,
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5 hours, and I was just like, I can't believe how long this movie is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got out of the movie at freaking 1:30 in the morning, so
Yep. Oh wow,
10:30
that's
show.
late. Dang.
10:30 showing. Yeah,
Dang.
it was pretty late.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I thought it was good. I had fun talking about it with you, Rex, as always.
Yeah,
It's a-
thanks
it's a
for being
time.
on.
Of course, anytime. I love chatting about movies with you.
Yeah, I guess if you just want to let people that watch my channel, let them know a little bit more about you and your YouTube channel, what they can find over there at the Super Spikeghetti Brothers.
Yeah, we're the Super Spaghetti Bros. It's me and my younger brother's channel. We do Let's Plays. Sometimes we do skits. And when we do Let's Plays, it's not always about the video game. It's more like a podcast.
Yeah, it's a
video game
conversational piece.
We talk about movies, we talk about music, we talk about video games, obviously, but then
Chicken
we just talk about
patties.
chicken patties,
And
I love
Arby's.
chicken patties. I love Arby's. We talk about fast food a lot, and I have some of my friends come on at times, and we play different stuff. So yeah, come check us out, Super Spaghetti Bros. Yeah, and thanks for having me on again, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, no problem. We'll have to do it again. It's a lot of fun. Now that I've kind of figured out the live stream capabilities,
Yeah.
and we can just
I'll
do
have-
some pre-recorded stuff too. But
I'll have to get a better light in my room. The lighting in my room's pretty awful, but we'll figure it out.
yeah. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for this live stream of The Last Jedi. We want you guys to get down below in the comment section and let us know what you thought of this movie. You know, what you thought of certain scenes now that we're talking about spoilers in this video. Let us know some of your... What did you think of Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren on that planet crate and all of that kind of crap? So, yeah, leave us your thoughts down below. I'm Rex Overdrive. I'll see you next time.